Hey, guess what finally happened? I finally had a day to do prep work, and we're back to the tarot. Woohoo! I'm like, what's for a second? I'm like, why is this weird white line? It's the white pillar. It's part of the deck. It's part of the card. It's okay, people. It freaked me out because it doesn't look as white when I look at it. When I hold it up here, it looks really quite white, and it's really more gray. So, but I digress. Yeah, I finally got a day to sit down and prep. And I prepped, I think, through the Chariot. So I'm very excited. I finally had time to do this. That's not like eating into my time that I'm not supposed to be working. So we're at the High Priestess. This is card number 2, because remember the Fool is a 0. So Fool 0, Magician's 1. And the High Priestess is number 2. So she is representative of the moon. She's also related to Pisces, wateriness kind of stuff. She's, in a lot of ways, she's the bridge between, like, I want to say high and low, but that like implies a value judgment, as above, so below kind of thing. The microcosm connected to the macrocosm, that bridging the abyss where all magic comes from. Woo, where all that's good stuff lives, that's waiting for you to tap into it to bring it out into reality. Woohoo. She's a connector. She's also, one of the things is studying this, especially with like the women characters, there's kind of this virginal mother kind of thing that, especially with the High Priestess and the Empress, that comes into play. Because like she's supposed to be this virginal character. Purity in virginity kind of concept, which personally I'm just like, this is kind of a really old outdated mode of thinking about women. Excuse me, in general. Let me have some warm fluid, make it go away hopefully. Outdated way of looking at women. Virgin, mother, horror kind of concept. And frankly, I find never once have I thought the virginal purity of the High Priestess. This has never once occurred to my little pea brain or to in like a reading. Now the empowerment that the High Priestess can bring, a woman seeing herself in this role. Now that's come up, stepping into empowerment, into sovereignty, into divine knowing. That's all popped up. The whole virgin aspect, not so much. So when you start reading about that stuff, take it with a grain of salt. A lot of it's, Victorian era. Mumbo, like just kind of mumbly jumbly nonsense of a Christian paradigm of womanhood, weirdness kind of stuff. And I feel like in a lot of ways we need to move out of some of that stuff, because really too, with non-binary, trans people, that kind of stuff, gender I feel needs to be more fluid in general. That's how I feel. The more fluidity I bring into gender roles within the tarot, the more inclusive it brings to other people. So if you're a dude and you totally feel that High Priestess vibe, go for it. I don't really care if you vibe with this card, because really what's Magician kind of is a High Priestess, but not because she's more spiritual than, say, the Magician is, in a way. Does that make sense? Hierophant would be the next one that's kind of male, that's not really the same, though. Hierophant's more of a teacher than the High Priestess. So, yeah. Okay. So, total digression there. But, so, I don't know why the abyss and that and the whole virgin thing came out. Must have needed to be there. So she's the beginning of seeking the great work. She's the start of it all, really. The magician is kind of like the acquisition of skills, I see. The fool's just going on his merry way and learning things. Whereas she's here, she's where we start really sinking down roots and growing our branches up in, that macrocosm to the microcosm to the macrocosm, excuse me, of beginning that seeking, the great work, psychic wisdom, tapping into your inherent inner knowledge. These are all things she holds for us. Emotions, intuitive, higher aspirations. That kind of really is what she brings in. How do you empower yourself into this role of priestess? And more importantly, the high priestess of that elevation of the spiritual as part of your life and not just something that you do here and there in ritual. So if she's having a bad day, the high priestess can be degrading. She can be very destructive, cut off from the universe, from the macrocosm, from the microcosm, from yourself, from your spirituality, refusing to listen to anything. I wrote here, refusing to listen to anyone or anything. So that would include people and also spirit guides and whatever you're working with. When she's not in her sovereign empowered mode, she can be really quite destructive and tearing things down. You shouldn't do it that way. The over controlling high priestess that's like, you're doing it wrong, completely doing it wrong. You can't do it that way. This is the only way you are allowed to do it. She's that kind of abusive member of the coven that you should just not go into because of the abuse when she's having a bad day. Can't call her on anything she's doing wrong because she's perfect. Think of her like a cult leader. On her bad day, she's, a cult leader who can be very charismatic but controlling at the same time. So if you see that vibe coming up, say you're seeking dedication, initiation into a group, and you see that kind of bad day energy coming up in your leaders, you want to think really hard. And your chance, I would say, don't do it. There's a reason why I'm currently solitary, and that's because I haven't found anything or any group that I'm willing to commit that much to, because I'm pretty picky about it. I don't want to get sucked into the crap. I want to have something that was good. And when I did choose to initiate way back when, the group's now defunct, but you could call the leaders on their bullshit. You knew what you were getting into. It was very open. It was very honest, and you did not pay thousands of dollars to get into it. It wasn't completely free. We all had to chip in to get people from back east out west. But, so blah, 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 digressing. Again, back to the high priestess. So if she's having a bad day, you really want to look at that in your reading if she's showing up that way. And see how you can start to flip that back into a more empowering parameter in some way. So some of her main symbols are those two pillars. We got the black pillar, we got the white pillar. Crescent moons, her feet on the one, oftentimes in her thing, the equal armed cross. She's often holding a book or a paper papyrus kind of thing, scroll. We'll see pomegranates also are very common within this. This one's a pretty basic. This is from the Morgan Greer. And it's a pretty basic, I'd say, average high priestess card. Not really out there. Not all the symbolism that you often see is there. But the moon, the cross, the scroll, the two pillars are there. So that's our high priestess. Feel free to explore her and see what she has to tell you. You have a good day, and everyone go out there and be the love in the world. Bye-bye.